What I love about the title page is its focus on the covenants, that the Book of Mormon came forth to teach us about the covenants of the Lord. And we've heard a lot from President Nelson and other church leaders that we're all on this covenant path. And the Book of Mormon was revealed for our day to help reveal the covenant path. And what are those covenants? Well, let's just step back for a moment and remember the Old Testament and the book of Genesis. The purpose of what was going on in the book of Genesis is to lay out the foundation for God's covenants with his people. If you remember Abraham's story, right, we have Abraham who gets this opportunity from God. God basically shows up and says, Abraham, I'm going to do these things for you. I'm going to make your name great. I'm going to give you posterity. And we also learn the pearl of great price. I'm also going to give you priesthood. And throughout the whole Abraham story, Abraham goes through a variety of adventures or tests where he tries to demonstrate that God will be faithful to the covenant he made. And this is the interesting thing. When you look closely at the Abrahamic covenant, God himself has put himself under obligation to fulfill this covenant to Abraham. Abraham definitely needs to be faithful, but it's actually God's duty to make sure the covenant is granted to Abraham and his posterity. And if you look at this in the second paragraph here of the title page, there's this interesting phrase that I'd wondered about for some time. It says, that they may know the covenants of the Lord, that they are not cast off forever. Well, it's kind of interesting. Why is this going to the Lamanites and eventually to the Jews and the Gentiles? But why is there this phrase that they're not cast off forever? It's because God is under obligation to make the covenant available to the children of Abraham, and that includes the Lamanites.
It's interesting that these words coming to us, that he's trying to help us know that we are not cast off forever. Coming from Moroni, those words mean a lot more than coming from any other prophet, possibly in the history of the world. Yeah. Because this guy has watched his whole nation implode and be destroyed. He's watched his family be killed. He's lost everything that we would hold near and dear as far as our culture and our society and our government. And he's been wandering for somewhere between 20 to 36 years, somewhere in that time frame. If anyone could feel cast off, forsaken, forgotten, left alone, it's Moroni. And yet that's one of the purposes for this book that he puts on the title page. You've got to know that God keeps his covenants. He's not going to forget you, even if you feel all alone for a very long period of time. That's just sweet to me.